Hi, I'm Michael Mintz, the creator of the SeleniumBase test automation framework, and today I'm going to show you how to get started. SeleniumBase is a combination of the Selenium library with the PyTest framework, which allows you to do really powerful stuff with a lot of additional features baked in. To get started, go check out the SeleniumBase page on GitHub, where you'll find a nice README with instructions on getting started. So first you'll need Python installed if it's not already, and you want to make sure Python's on your system path. And if it's not already installed with Python, pip, which allows you to install Python packages. And you'll also want to create a virtual environment, which will allow you to partition Python installations from each other in case there are different dependencies required between them. Once you've got your virtual environment set up and you've cloned SeleniumBase, you can install with just pip install SeleniumBase, or you can do pip install -r requirements.txt, and that will install the requirements, and then python setup.py develop to install SeleniumBase. Once you've done that, now you'll need a WebDriver to run the tests on a web browser. So let's say to do that, SeleniumBase install Chrome driver. And if you have the latest version of Chrome driver installed, or latest version of Chrome installed, you want the latest Chrome driver. So add latest to that command, and it will automatically find the Chrome driver you need and install it. And if you want to run tests on Firefox, you'll need Gecko driver. So just do SeleniumBase install Gecko driver. And that will install the Gecko driver that you'll need to run tests on Firefox. So once you've done that, you can just cd into the examples folder from your git clone of SeleniumBase, and then you can run the first test. PyTest myfirsttest.py. And by default, if you don't specify a web browser, it's going to run it on Chrome. So you'll see you'll spin things up, the browser, click some buttons, type in some text, and if you want to run the same test in Firefox, just do --browser equals Firefox, and now it's going to run the same test right there. So let's see how that goes. Now it spins up a Firefox browser, as you can see, and goes to xkcd.com, a webcomic, and then performs some actions. If you're wondering what exactly it's doing, we're going to go into the test so you can take a look. So let's open myfirsttest.py, and you'll see you'll have at the top from SeleniumBase import base case, which is the key import so that you can use all the SeleniumBase methods and have automatic spin up of the web browser and the spin down of the web browser during the test. Methods, there you'll see like open to open a web page. You can assert elements or the title by using the CSS selector. You can click an element on the page, assert text, and you can update text, which means typing text into a field. And if you add \n onto whatever you're typing in, it'll automatically hit the enter or return key at the end of that. So that's what myfirsttest.py looks like. Let's do PyTest HTML reports. So let's say we run a PyTest test fail.py, a test that will fail on purpose. We do --HTML equals report.html. You'll see that once it spins up the browser and runs the test, and it fails, you're going to get a nice HTML report with the screenshots and stack traces involved there. So open report.html. Ta-da! PyTest HTML report with the stack trace and the screenshot. Pretty powerful stuff. So by default, when running on Linux, it's going to run it in headless mode because there's not necessarily a GUI screen there. But you can also run tests in headless mode by just adding --headless on a regular screen. So if we do PyTest myfirsttest.py --headless, It's going to run my first test, but it'll use the headless version of Chrome or the headless version of Firefox if that's what you're using. And at the end of the test, you'll see one passed and in the number of seconds that it took. All right, so let's do something even more advanced, demo mode. So if we type --demo_mode when running a test, you're going to visually see what the test is doing as it performs all its actions. So for instance, on that test, we're going to assert the title. Then it's going to assert the CSS selector for the IMG. Then it's going to click more details, and you can actually see all this happening in real time so that you know exactly what the test is testing. It's a really powerful feature of SeleniumBase, and it'll allow you to really know what's going on. Literally, the JavaScript is injected onto the page with WebDriver as the test is running. So there you go. You have an ability to easily write and run reliable tests that automatically wait for all the page elements to load and the ready state of the page to be complete, because that's how it's going to prevent flaky tests. All right, let's go into an example of creating a codeless Selenium-based script. In case you're new to automation, you just want to click some buttons on a web page and immediately have a script. For that, we're going to use a tool called Catalan Recorder, which essentially it's a Chrome extension that you can install. It's also same company does Catalan Studio, which does the Catalan Recorder, which allows you just click on something on a page and record all those actions so you can play it back and export it into your tests. So let's try doing a record of, let's see, I'll load the page, catalan.com. And now I'm going to go to click on web testing, and you'll see at the top right it'll have the commands that I'm clicking. Let's click on blog. You'll see the command got recorded. And now I'm on blog, and let's click on CI/CD. There we go. And that's like enough things to click on. At the end, you'll see all the steps. So now you can do stop, and now you can play back the steps that you just recorded, just to see that it all recorded properly. All right, so pretty straightforward. Now comes the fun part. Now that we've recorded all these steps, we can now export this as a Python 2 WebDriver plus unit test file, and then we can convert that into Selenium-based code. So to start, let's click on Save as File from this giant file, and we're going to save it into the Selenium-based examples folder. We're going to call it Test K for Catalan. I'm going to click Save. And now that test is in the examples folder, let's take a look. Open testka.py, and you'll notice that it's about 51 lines of code, and it's got all this extra stuff that I didn't really need, because all I really did was these actions where I opened up a website and I clicked on elements. So let's now run the Selenium-based convert command, and if you want to know what all the Selenium-based commands are from the console scripts, you can just type SeleniumBase in the window, and you'll see the commands. So now let's do SeleniumBase convert testka.py, and it's going to create a testka_sb.py. So let's open that. testka_sb.py, and you'll see that the Selenium-based AI took all these lines of code and simplified it right down to this. You open catalan.com, which is what you saw in the test here, and it used some smart selectors to convert this messy XPath into just a partial link click. And then you're clicking on the blog, and then find element by ID.click. It literally simplifies all that into really concise, short, reliable test scripts that is way more efficient than what you'd get by using regular WebDriver and unit test. So let's try running this to make sure that everything's good. So we're going to do pytest test k underscore sb.py, and it's going to spin up that browser, and literally you've taken this messy 51 lines of code that Catalan produced, and the SeleniumBase convert method is taken all that and just simplified it down to literally all you really need, because the SeleniumBase reliable libraries take care of handling all the other stuff. Cool. So now that we've gotten that, we ran it, and it's successful. So we just really quickly took codeless like automation, clicking and all that. We record the actions, we exported it, we converted it to SeleniumBase, and now we've got a really simple script. So now that we have that, we can improve on this even more by using the SeleniumBase objectify command. So we do SeleniumBase objectify, let's see, test k underscore sb.py, and you'll see from the output here, pageObjects.py was created and test k was updated. And if you go into here, it replaced all the CSS selectors that were there with pageObjects that you can now find if you go open the pageObjects.py file. Ta-da! A simple command like that took all the CSS selectors and gave you the pageObject model. Now it's going to be slightly confusing to see what happens, so we're going to show you some of the other things that you can do with the SeleniumBase pageObjects commands. So let's do SeleniumBase revert objects test k underscore sb dot, actually forgot the s, revert objects test k underscore sb dot py, and you'll see we're back to the beginning. Now let's say you want to be a little more specific as to naming your page objects. So what you can use is SeleniumBase extract objects, and then test k underscore sb.py, and it'll just create the pageObjects file without modifying test k, and now you can change what you want to name these. So let's say we call that API testing. We call it the blog link. We can call this the category filter. Alright, so now that we've renamed these, now we can do SeleniumBase inject objects test k underscore sb.py. It's going to take the pageObjects file with all the pageObjects there, and it's going to map out back to your test file what you renamed those pageObjects to. So now you can see, hey, instant pageObject model, instant converting of a messy, long WebDriver unit test script into concise Selenium-based code. It's got lots of methods to help simplify things. Alright, so let's go on to the next step, which is more cool, fancy examples. Alright, so let's go into tour examples. So as you've noticed from demo mode, SeleniumBase has a JavaScript injector that allows you to do really powerful things with JavaScript on top of the tests. So I thought, hey, I could use this JavaScript injector to create more types of JavaScript injections for assisting things. So let me show you an example. PyTest, the Google tour.py, and if you run that, it's going to go to google.com and it's going to create a website tour literally injected right into Google in this example. Let's see, welcome to Google. Next, type in your query here, then click here to search, or press enter after that. But literally, I just created a website tour on google.com, just like that. Let's see, and tour, I can also use the keys to like scroll through. And there are also different types of tours that you can use. So this particular one coming up is going to use a different style than the previous one. Welcome to Google Maps. I can click next, search box, click here to show it on the map. So right now I'm pressing on the keys to take this tour through. And this is pretty cool because I just like literally took JavaScript and created a website tour with just a few lines of Python code, which you're about to see right now. End of guided tour. Thanks for using Selenium-based tours. So if you want to see what that code looked like, I'm going to open the Google tour.py, and you'll see I open google.com, wait for the element, and then I create the tour, and I can add a tour step, text that you see there. I can add an optional title. When I add a tour step, I can also attach it to an element by using a CSS selector. It's very powerful, it's very cool, and that is Selenium-based tours, and you can also export your tour as a JavaScript file. Alright, so I'm going to move on to the next exciting feature, which is MasterQA. Alright, so MasterQA combines Selenium-based automation with human manual verification to create the ultimate QA experience in case you have QA teams where we still want to have a manual component, but you also want automation to help things go a lot faster. So here you saw, I ran this test, and automation performed several actions, and now you have a manual verification. This is another JavaScript injection that Selenium-based provides. Manual check 1, does the page look good? I'll say yes. Automation does its thing. Can you find the moon? Nope, no moon. Fail. Takes a screenshot if there's a failure. I can move this around, it's cool. I could say that, yes, no. If I do no, get the screenshot. Do a search for a book. Do you see books in the search results? Yes, I do. I'll say yes, pass. There's one more for this particular test. Manual check number 5, does the page say abnormal expressions? No, it says regular expressions, so I'll say no, fail. And at the end, you get this nice report that you'll see screenshots where things failed. Additionally, you're going to get a results table.csv, which basically takes all those results and puts it into a nice CSV file that you can then view to see how your test suite did. So you're a manual tester, the automation helps you out, and then you get this report. It's like, oh hey, success for here, failed here, this was the URL you were on, the screenshot that it took, the web browser that you were using, the epic time when the test ran, and the verification instructions so that you know what it was being tested, and you can add additional info in that isn't covered right there. So that is MasterQA, a powerful way of combining automated QA with manual QA for the ultimate experience. All right, so that is MasterQA. All right, so let's see, what else do we have? There are a lot more tests that you can try out on your own. You can basically run your tests on a proxy server. You can do tons of things. In order to show you the types of things that it can do, you go back to GitHub, you'll be able to find a thing called the help docs folder, where you'll find all the help docs that you'll need to help you get started, like the full method summary, which will show you like all the different methods that you'll be able to use, and it's quite advanced. For instance, you'll have methods such as like assert no 404 errors, assert no JavaScript errors on the page. You can do ad blocking, inject JavaScript onto the page. download a file, upload a file. It's all really powerful stuff. Let's see, customizing test runs, you'll be able to not only choose the web browser, the user agent, the automation speed, whether to retry failing tests, whether you use a Chrome data directory or load a Chrome extension when you run the tests. You can even tell your tests to connect to a Selenium Grid server such as BrowserStack, Sauce Labs, Testing Bot, or cross-browser testing. So in order to do that, here's an example of running your tests against a proxy server. You could have IP address : port or username : password at IP address port with -- proxy, so that you can maybe say, oh hey, geolocation this test, change the user agent, change settings such as default timeouts and all that. Connecting to Sauce Labs and BrowserStack is pretty straightforward. You can just use a command such as on your test -- server equals username : key at say hub.browserstack.com or ondemand.saucelabs.com, all that. Now you can run your tests in pretty much any cloud you want. Additionally, you can create your own Selenium Grid if you know what you're doing, and that's as easy as SeleniumBase grid node start. And let's see. Oh, we already had it running, so I'm just going to stop it. And I'm going to stop the grid hub. Alright, so start from the beginning because I already had it running before I started this tutorial. If I do a grid hub start, it's going to spin up a grid hub for me, and it'll give you a URL that you can use. So now if I plug that into a web browser, you'll see you have the grid console for your Selenium Grid that you just spun up if you want to, say, partition your tests to run on different server machines. And with the Selenium Grid Hub, you're going to need to start the Selenium Grid node. So let's do a Selenium Grid node start. And now that those tests, the grid node is started, you'll be able, if you refresh the page, you'll now be able to see all your Selenium Grid nodes right up in there. Like here are the Firefox browsers and Chrome browsers, and since I'm running on a Mac here, I'm not going to have like IE, but if I had a PC here, you'd have like all the other browsers that you need. So that is using the Selenium Grid controls of SeleniumBase. Easily spin up a Selenium Grid hub and grid node and partition all your tests there. Additionally, since SeleniumBase uses PyTest, PyTest has advanced features such as multi-threading and a whole lot of other stuff. So if I do PyTest, let's see, test suite.py and -n4, it's going to now spin up 4 Chrome browsers for me and run a suite of 4 tests, because Test Suite has 4 tests in it. So now you'll see it's spun up the 4 browsers, and they're literally like one behind another. So it's powerful. Multi-threading, proxy servers, change your user agent, change your browser, use a Selenium Grid, convert Selenium IDE or Catalan IDE recordings into a simplified Selenium-based script, use website tours, MasterQA mode. It's really powerful. The possibilities are endless, and I don't have time to cover all the features that SeleniumBase has, but don't worry, there'll be more tutorials. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and happy automating.